The Beverly Hillbillies came on the air in the 1960s, when there was a lot going on in America that people needed distracting from. The Hillbillies provided just the distraction people needed with its homespun, apolitical entertainment, and it became a big hit. Though there was nothing but good vibes to be found on the program, some may be surprised to learn there was actually some tension going on behind the scenes. Namely, there was some political tension between stars Buddy Ebsen and Nancy Kulp. Join Facts First as we explore the Beverly Hillbillies castmates that secretly hated each other. Fans of the Beverly Hillbillies who were living in Pennsylvania during the mid-'80s were in store for a couple of surprises. For one of the former stars of the program decided to try her hand at becoming one of the state's congresswomen. For another thing, a former star of the program came out of the woodwork to stop her. Nancy Kulp was trying to become a Pennsylvania congresswoman, and Buddy Ebsen was trying to stop her. Buddy and Nancy had their fair share of differences even before the mid-'80s. By the time Nancy decided to run for office, the Beverly Hillbillies had been over and done with for a decade. The show was still popular via reruns, but new episodes hadn't been produced in a while. Some may think the tension between Buddy and Nancy didn't start until the mid-'80s, but they actually argued a lot during production of the show. It seems Buddy Ebsen coming out of the woodwork to put an end to Nancy's dream of becoming a congresswoman was a long time coming. On the Beverly Hillbillies, Buddy and Nancy played characters that came from wildly different backgrounds. Buddy played the patriarch of the Clampett family, which the show revolved around. As the story goes, the Clampetts are a working-class family that strike oil and become millionaires, moving to Beverly Hills. In Beverly Hills, Nancy Kulp played the accountant in charge of keeping track of the Clampetts' fortune. Buddy and Nancy were always arguing about politics. Buddy and Nancy didn't bicker too much on screen, but they were known to bicker profusely when the cameras weren't rolling. Though Nancy's bid to become a Pennsylvania congresswoman was still many years away, she was just as outspoken politically during her time on the show. Buddy was also someone outspoken about his political beliefs, even though he never officially ventured into politics. Buddy was a very conservative Republican, whereas Nancy was an exceptionally liberal Democrat. As one might imagine, the two often had issues to argue about. While their on-set arguments were generally said to have started out as cordial, they typically devolved into shouting matches. The cast and crew of the show became very used to Buddy and Nancy's political bickering. The series was a gigantic hit for CBS, and it did well in the ratings during its entire run. One can imagine Buddy and Nancy never had to bicker again after the Beverly Hillbillies came to an end. But this all changed in the mid-'80s, when Nancy announced she was going to run for office after numerous decades of working as an actress. Buddy had something to say. At the time, she was running against a Republican congressman defending his throne. His name was E.G. Schuster, and he's still around today at age 90. Nancy had her work cut out for her as a Democratic underdog going up against a beloved Republican giant. The fact that Ronald Reagan was popular in the area only made the battle that much harder. Nancy never became a congresswoman. If Nancy Kulp had won the election, she would have put an end to a 12-year reign that the Republican Party had held over the state of Pennsylvania. Sadly, the former actress ended up failing in her mission. There were numerous reasons why Nancy didn't end up winning the fight, including the fact that Pennsylvania was simply too conservative at the time, but Buddy Ebsen also played an unlikely role. When Buddy got wind of the fact that his former co-star was running, he knew he had to do something. This came in spite of the fact that Buddy was a resident of California and had very little skin in the political game. Buddy remembered his and Nancy's political arguments from their time on the Hillbillies, and it's likely this inspired him to take action. Despite not being a resident of Pennsylvania, Buddy offered his services to E.G. Schuster. Buddy filmed a handful of TV commercials for the incumbent congressman and recorded a handful of ones for the radio. These ads could be seen and heard all over the state. When Nancy heard them, she was understandably devastated. She felt it was incredibly petty of her former TV co-star, especially given the fact he wasn't a resident of Pennsylvania. Buddy Ebsen's commercial for E.G. Schuster certainly didn't help matters, but Nancy was already an unlikely candidate to win. According to polls from the time, E.G. Schuster was nearly twice as popular as Nancy. Because of this, it's hard to say that Buddy's pettiness had much of a direct effect on his former co-star. But it certainly didn't help with her morale. When Buddy started showing up on Pennsylvania airwaves decrying her, Nancy tried to get some of her celebrity friends on her side. But she didn't have much luck. She couldn't find anyone as popular as Buddy to make political ads for her. She eventually lost the battle altogether. There were numerous reasons Nancy lost. Nancy Kulp lost to E.G. Schuster, though she didn't regret her attempts to win. Besides Buddy's political ads and the state's general conservatism at the time, other things that prevented her from standing a chance include the fact that she was only able to fundraise a fraction of the money he was. Industry was on E.G. Schuster's side, and the ultra-liberal Nancy Kulp stood no chance against the reigning giant. Nancy passed away in 1991, not many years after her failed attempt to become a congresswoman. By the time of her death, the actress claimed that she and Buddy had put their differences aside. The actress seemed to hold no grudge against her former co-star when she passed. This is all well and good, but these words never came from Buddy himself before he passed in 2003. He kept his mouth shut about his relationship to the late Nancy Kulp and remained an outspoken Republican until his death. Another surprising fact about Buddy and Nancy is that the two were both naval officers before becoming popular in the entertainment industry. Buddy would have probably liked to hold his combat experience over his liberal co-star, but the fact that Nancy had the same experience made it so he couldn't. It probably enraged him quite a bit that his female co-star was such a match for him politically. If this is the case, it makes sense why the actor came out of the woodwork in the mid-'80s to hurt her political campaign. Buddy Ebsen postponed his retirement for the show. Before being cast, Buddy Ebsen was a veteran performer and was ready to call it a day. The actor famously delayed his own retirement so he could play the role of Jed Clampett. He liked the concept of the show, but he felt the character of Jed needed to be written a little better. Before joining, Buddy made some changes to the character that made the show more appealing. According to legend, the issue Buddy took with the original concept was that Jed was too much of an idiot. Buddy felt that even if the character was uneducated, he should have some level of streetwise savviness. These changes were made, and Buddy was happy to play the character over the course of the hit series' 9 seasons. In Buddy's insistence that the blue-collar character of Jed be portrayed more intelligently, we can see some of the veteran performer's political leanings. It also certainly helped the show appeal to a blue-collar audience. Besides the tension between Buddy and Nancy, there wasn't much negativity on set, but it has been revealed in recent years that every time the character of Granny could be seen on the show smacking the character of Jethro, the smack was real. Actress Irene Ryan, who was a well-tempered woman, played Granny, but she couldn't help herself when it came to smacking co-star Max Baird Jr., who played Jethro. Max was the son of a professional boxer, and Irene loved walloping him. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know that Nancy Kulp ran for office and Buddy Ebsen tried to stop her? Let us know in the comment section below.